Hi, and welcome to our Quick Start Competencies training video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a new competency, a new learning objective from scratch. As you can see here, here's a bit of a structure I've been working with for a while. Let me switch courses real quick to a fresh playground course. As you can see, I don't have the competencies link in my nav bar. So if you don't have it yet, just click on Edit Course and find it right here. Then click that, and that'll take you to your competencies homepage. So as you can see, I don't have anything built in my structure, neither competencies nor objectives yet. So to start a new competency, I'm going to click on New and then Competency. Now remember, these are our broad-based, more general main course goals. So I'm going to type something in here like art criticism, which is a major benchmark for the arts. And then I'm going to paste in a description I have written down already. Now you can just type it right in there, or I'm just going to copy and paste for the sake of brevity. So I'm just going to paste my description right in there. When you're creating your descriptions, a good thing to keep in mind is using some strong action words, maybe related to Bloom's taxonomy, and just make sure you're hitting some broad-based goals. We'll get more specific when we write our objective. Now down here you have status, and you might be wondering what all these mean. You'll learn more about that during training, but just know in draft mode I will be able to edit the structure, meaning I can add objectives to it. If I set it to approved, my students would be able to see this competency and start completing it, but I don't even have any objectives, let alone activities tied to this yet. So I'm going to leave it set to draft so I'm able to add an objective to this competency later. Here's your additional identifier. This is where you're going to paste your content standard. So I can get one here just by copying from the Ohio Department of Education art content standards page, and I'll just paste it right in there. Now when I'm ready to make this competency and its children available to users, meaning my students, when I'm ready for them to see it, I will check this box, but for right now I will just leave that unchecked as I'm still building. And then the same with the evaluation settings. We can choose whether we want to allow a reevaluation of students that have already achieved this competency, meaning say I publish this, make it live, students have earned this competency already by completing activities and mastering other objectives in this structure. Then if I make any revisions to this competency, then if I check this box, it will reevaluate the students that have already earned it. So depending what changes I make, like say I add a new objective to this, then the students that have already earned that, their result status would change to not achieved. So depending on how you want to structure your course, that's a decision you'll have to make for whatever's best for you and your students. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that unchecked for right now and then click Save. Okay, so then you see our new competency is right here, and we can click on it and go back to this screen. Now, I'm going to go back to the home page and add a new objective. And I can do this one of two ways. So I'm going to show you the first way just by clicking on the new button. So I select Learning Objective, and then I'm taken to a very similar window. So here I'm going to type in the name, the first step in the art criticism process, which would be description. And then in here I'm going to paste in the description that I have written out in my document. I'm going to use a strong action word to start this. Describes. The students will clearly describe in writing what is seen in the work of art without interpreting. That's the description step. So the students can clearly understand what they have to do to meet this objective. Additional identifier, again, that's for my content standard. So I'm going to paste this one in here about using specific art vocabulary. Sounds like it applies. Now we have some different settings that we can choose from what we saw before with the competency. we have an enforced assessment method. My recommendation to you is to just leave this set to no. So you have the option of assigning any of these activities to the objective later. If you say yes and specify something like a Dropbox, then when you go to add an activity later, you'll only be able to link to Dropbox activities because that's the activity you're saying must be used to assess this objective. So I would just leave it on no, and then let me uncheck that. I'm going to leave this on no, and then now when you move along in the course and you get to the step on linking activities, you'll see what I mean, that you will have all these options available to assess the objective with. And then the ready for evaluation status, you have option yes or no. I'm going to leave it set to no right now because we're not ready for students to be evaluated with this objective since we're still building it. But later when you want the students to be able to complete the objective and you have your activity linked to it, everything's ready to go, just switch it to yes and the students will be able to complete it. So then we'll just say save. And now you see this independent learning objectives heading has popped up. So if you ever see that, that means you have an objective in your structure that's not yet formally linked to a competency. So if a student completes this objective, they would earn the objective, but it has nothing to do with any of the competencies in our structure. Now, if we want this objective nestled under this competency, so in order to earn the competency, students have to earn this objective, we just need to add that to the competency structure. And we'll do that like this. So we'll click on our competency and we'll pull up the edit window. Then we're going to click on the structure button. And now we're going to go to edit structure. Again, I would not be able to do this if I had this set to approved. I can only do this when the competency is set into draft. So now to move the objective, I just go down to Add Children, because we're going to add the objective as a child under this parent competency. So we can go down to either New Learning Objective and make one from scratch, or we can go to Existing Learning Objective and grab it from our structure. So let's do that. We can expand our Independent Learning Objective heading, find our objective that we just created, and say Add Selected. And as you can see, our description objective appears right here. And then if we go back to, we can delete it too if we want by hitting the trash icon there. It won't delete it from the home page, it will just disassociate it with this competency. So we can go back to the home page now. And we see the independent objective heading is gone because we no longer have any independent objectives. We have the objective here moved, nestled right under this competency. So now if we click on the competency and view its structure, we can see we have a child objective associated with this parent competency, and we can click on results. You can see we have some sample students in this fake course that have not yet completed the objective, so that's nice to see. And so that's how that would apply. Now, the one last thing we'll look at is how to create a new objective directly from the parent competency so you can avoid the moving step. If I wanted to, I could have created it by going to the Edit Structure tab and under the Children heading, clicking New Learning Objective. Okay, so now we have our Add New Child edit window. In here we're going to name our new objective. I'm going to name this analysis. I'm going to name my new objective analysis because that's another main goal under the art criticism process. So now I can add in my description. I'm going to go back to my document and copy and paste in my description. And then my additional identifier I can get from either my document or here on the Ohio Department of Education Visual Arts Standards page. So now I'm going to paste that in there. I'm going to leave this enforced assessment method set to no, and my ready for evaluation status also set to no for now. And I'm just going to say add. Okay, so now you can see down here we have description and analysis in our competency structure under art criticism. So to see that in a more visual way, we can go back to the home screen. We can expand our parent competency art criticism, and now we have two objectives nestled under our original parent competency. So those are the ways that you can create from scratch, either with the new button, create a new competency or learning objective, or click on an existing element, go to structure, and then edit structure. And from here you can add new parents or new children. The same thing works with objectives. If we clicked on our objective analysis, perhaps we have more objectives to meet to earn this. When we want to turn it into a parent objective, we would go to structure, edit structure, and we can add parents to this objective or children. So if we want to add several objectives needed to meet the analysis objective, we could do that as well. And then you can see down here for the objectives edit structure window, now I have the option to incorporate activities. And then all these are available to me because I left the enforced assessment method set to no. We will learn more about that later in a future video about linking activities, but for now, I hope you found this helpful on getting started from scratch. So thank you for watching, and good luck out there in your competency structures.